Inside the Fox 59 CBS 4 podcast studio, welcome to the Colts Blue Zone Podcast. I'm Dave Griffiths. Glad to have you along here inside our studio, as I said, alongside these two gentlemen.
Matt Adams. You forgot his name, didn't you?
Yes, I forgot both your names.
It has been a while.
I forgot yours because you haven't been here
I
forever.
know.
Like I've been on vacation. Matt's been out of town, and you've been out taking your time off. And fortunately,
so you're here with that guy and this guy.
Exactly.
Right,
and
exactly.
fortunately, I did not receive a phone call from Beach Grove Police letting me know that they had a Mike Chappell in custody, which is what all NFL owners don't want to have after these 5 or 6 weeks.
You don't want news in the off season, and we had none over the last month.
Whew.
So that's somebody asked about what franchise I would hate to have been a beat writer of. Maybe we talked about it here, and it was Pittsburgh. It was Pittsburgh,
right?
They're making these deals and moves when you're supposed to be doing nothing. So
putting y'all to work out there,
right? So no news is really good news around most teams.
It truly is, and there is some aspects that you would like to see some news, and I would like to open up this Colts Blue Zone podcast the week before Colts training camp with that, the thing that we had hoped to hear before now, but still a couple days left until rookies are supposed to report out to Westfield. But as of now, there is some question as to whether one of the Colts rookies will be there, and that is second-round pick JT Tuimoloau. 30 second-round picks in the NFL have not signed a contract with the team that have drafted them. The top 2 picks in round 2, Carson Schweschinger of the Browns, linebacker, and wide receiver Jaden Higgins of the Texans, signed fully guaranteed contracts.
And that's the problem.
And that is the reason why.
We've set a precedent now. Let's try to cash in on this.
Hates precedents.
Yes, indeed they do.
See Deshaun Watson.
Right. And everything that came out of that.
And collusion, right?
And
right.
We talked about that here on the podcast over the past couple weeks. So
that was something.
Oh, it was a big deal.
And the arbitrator said there's something there, but we're going to let it go.
Right. And so it's gone, at least for now, until the next time it happens. But the deal is, I guess, with the fully guaranteed second round picks, the first round picks contracts are fully guaranteed.
I was mistaken, but apparently I thought it was part of the CBA. It's not.
Okay.
It came to be in like 2022 to where, we're going to guarantee first round picks.
Okay.
And for the most part, second round picks, it's been the first 2 years have been guaranteed. The base, of course, the signing bonus, but then the first 2 years, and then little by little, teams have been giving more of guarantees. The Colts started guarantee part of that third year with Juju Brents in 23, and then last year they did. So it's coming, but owners, and I understand why, hate totally guaranteed contracts. Maybe they see what happens in other sports when it doesn't work.
Right. Well, I mean, the last couple of years before the most recent CBA, before the most recent big change in first round picks, I mean, you saw Jamarcus Russell contracts and Sam Bradford contracts for guys that had never come into the league and never played it down in the league, getting buku bucks. And things that were not good for those franchises because of various reasons for those two guys with injuries or just not being good. Yes, that's the easiest
not
way
to
say
put
it.
too fine of a point on it, but not be very good.
But it's a precedent that owners don't want to be at the forefront of, and they sense, in some sense, a responsibility to the league and to other owners not to kind of continue to do that. I understand why the first 2 picks get done because they're almost first round picks themselves anyway. But
in the last couple of years, those first 2 picks have gotten like 90% guaranteed.
Right.
So it's inching that way.
Right.
It's later down the line. I will be shocked if we're here in August and all these guys have signed guaranteed contracts. I just don't see that happening.
Right. And Matt, this is a big deal now because throughout the offseason, Tuimoloau has still been able to participate with the Colts. You sign a waiver, it's an injury waiver to say, hey, I'll participate, blah, blah, blah. If there's an injury, then there's a certain amount that would be paid out. But that's not the case anymore in training camp. So if you are not signed on the dotted line with your team, you cannot participate in training camp.
It'll stunt your development a little bit there for what you're able to do with the team at the beginning of training camp because you're not there if you've not signed your contract. And some of these teams have rookies reporting, like a week before the sort of the regular camp reports. The Colts are not necessarily one of
They have
those
a couple
teams.
days, I think.
A day before the veterans report.
Yeah.
And so that would mean any of these second round picks, and again, 30 of them. That's the large percentage of the 32 picks there in that second round. Would not be able to participate in any team activities until they sign on the dotted line. And on the other hand, the teams really can't do anything about it because they can't find them. They can't do any disciplinary stuff because they're not team employees yet.
And these are not holdouts.
Right.
No.
Because you don't have a contract.
Right.
I totally expect JT to be there Tuesday. Rookies report Monday. I think they'll find a common ground. Now, if this group as a whole says no, it's 100% or else, then we have something. But I think it's really hard to get 30 guys to agree to this.
Right. Eventually, they want to get paid what they've gotten earned, whether or not it's all fully guaranteed or not. Like something is better than nothing at some point.
Last year's JT was a 45th pick, and last year's I can't find his name right now. The guy I think it was Green Bay, signed a linebacker, and they guaranteed 75% of the contract. So I do think it gets done. I don't think it'll be 100%. And I will be shocked if there's enough unity in 30 guys who probably don't know each other, besides being rookies, agree to, hey, we're going to hold out. We're not going to show up.
Right. I think there's in some sense, this is not at the level of DEFCON 1 yet. It's because these guys have been able to participate with their teams throughout the offseason. The deadline is really coming up.
Right.
So it's not like we say 30 guys, and that is a lot of second-round picks that aren't signed. But at the same point, there has not been, this is under the gun, we've got to get it done yet until now.
The only thing that spurs action are deadlines.
Right.
That's it.
Yes, that is, and that's my point. Exactly. That now that the deadline is coming, we will see what happens. And
the reality of the situation hasn't gotten here yet.
If it comes to next week and there are still 15 guys, then it becomes a bigger deal.
Or here locally, one guy.
Right. That all that matters here.
I don't care
on the
if
Colts
there's
Blue Zone
20.
Podcast.
So I do think it gets done. But I think the Colts will be one of those teams that will have to be taken kicking and screaming to 100%.
Right.
I just think that with Chris Ballard, I think he believes in doing things his way, and he believes in how he does things. And I will be shocked if the Colts fully guarantee JT's contract.
There are also 2 first-rounders that remain unsigned, so life could be worse for the Indianapolis Colts and picks and signage. Those 2 are the edge rusher Shamar Stewart out of Texas A&M to the Bengals, and cornerback Jahdae Barron out of Texas. So those Texas guys, I don't know.
Stewart's been a problem. Isn't he the one that didn't participate in anything?
Correct. Yeah, Shamar Stewart
he
was
didn't do any of the offseason work. From the different reports I've read, there's like boilerplate language about guarantees for rookie contracts that the Bengals, according to the reports, that the Bengals want to change. And Stewart's like, well, that's boilerplate language. Let's not mess with that, which I kind of think makes sense.
Sure.
And because of that, I don't know if it's acrimonious or whatever, but obviously he's not participating in
I thought
team
they wanted
activities.
the Bengals, and again, it's from the periphery, you don't get it all, but I thought the Bengals wanted the option or the option of getting back some of the signing bonus if something happened,
right? Yeah,
some conduct or whatever. That's their problem. They've also got, by the way, Trey Hendrickson.
Still,
by the way, a lot of teams have issues. Right now, the only issue with the Colts significantly is their unsigned second round pick.
Such a surprise that the Bengals, so historically great at getting their players signed and being happy in training camp and into the season.
Looking forward to Joe Burrow scoring 45 points a game and it not being enough,
and losing 47 to 45 and being 9-8 and there competing.
Boy,
for
if we just stop
spots.
somebody on 4th and 1 once. So that's their problem.
Yeah, exactly. So we leave it with them and we move on.
I was trying to think. Maybe you guys know, when is the last time a Colt held out? I couldn't find it. I just can't remember the last time camp opened.
I really don't remember one over the past 10 years.
Back when I date myself, Edgerrin James.
Was in Edge, didn't Bob Sanders?
Bob Sanders missed all of camp.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
They drafted him when he had a broken foot or surgery, and they knew He was the last draft pick to sign. But since then, I just don't think there have been any because this system is set up to where
to stop that from happening.
right, and for the most part, it has. Again, I don't begrudge the players, agents, players, whatever, NFLPA trying to get this done. I just think until something changes, maybe with the CBA, I just don't think teams are going to go for this.
I will almost always be fully players on their side. Like, I don't care if they're making $50 million a contract. You got to get what is yours when you can.
But I'm not on board with fully guaranteed contracts.
Right. I understand that.
But get what you can. That's why I say when I sign a contract, if I've got some leverage, give me as much signing bonus as you can and give me minimum base salaries. Get whatever you can up front. Because when you see some of these backloaded contracts, and then when the team has no use for you, that money goes away.
See ya. Yep. The Colts have been named the 2025 Sports Humanitarian Team of the Year. It's an ESPY award that goes to a team that makes a measurable impact on a community or a cause. And the Colts Kicking the Stigma initiative on mental health awareness, research, and treatment is certainly the central focus of that. And the Colts have been a finalist for this award the past couple of years since this initiative came into effect. The only disappointing thing about this is Jim Irsay is not alive to see this because he was obviously the catalyst for the Kicking the Stigma initiative, at least the primary catalyst with the Colts. But still, I'd imagine rewarding for so many people in the Colts organization, Mike, to be receiving this award and to be recognized for something that is truly near and dear to many of their hearts.
I guess we all at different levels, you like to leave footprints that people remember you for whatever reason, hopefully good reasons. But when you look at Jim Irsay, I think he would be extremely gratified that a major part of his legacy is this. This has impacted so many people, and he was so open about his struggles. And the work that they've done, Kaylin Jackson has been the face of this, and she's done a fantastic job. So kudos. And every time I see this, it's just great what they've done. It's just not local. It's taken grip nationally. So when you can make a lasting impression, the Super Bowl and all this is something that impacts everybody. And kudos to him, the family, and Kaylin for really being the spokesperson moving forward.
Right. The goal of every NFL team, like you mentioned, is the Super Bowl.
Right.
Like, that's the primary goal of everyone in that organization. But to work toward that is long and hard. And one team gets it at the end of the year. Right. Every team can play a role in every sport in impacting the community. And so this is a battle for the award. I use that term kind of strangely, but between like 32 NFL teams, NBA teams, MLB
all the
teams,
professional sports
teams,
franchises,
every single one could be up for this award and how they make an impact on the community. And the Colts have been recognized as the winner for this year, so that is certainly something of note. And something that the Colts will continue to. This is not the end, it's not like the Super Bowl where you win and then you restart to next year. Yeah, we did it, guys.
We did it. We beat mental health awareness.
Sorry, I just banged the table here, but no, this is something that will continue into the future, and looking forward to see how Kaylin Jackson kind of continues to keep the ball, because she's not really taking the ball from Jim and run. She's keeping the ball and running with it forward.
Because she's been like out in the forefront the last couple of years.
Exactly.
Because of her dad's situation.
Yeah. Well, training camp starts next week, guys. We are 1 week away from everybody returning or descending upon the field.
From today, they're on the field practicing.
They are. We will be there, and we plan to have a podcast on that day. Right now, that is the plan. On day one, right after the Horseshoes get off the field, we chat with a couple of them. We would have heard from Chris Ballard by that point already, so plenty of news will come. It's the kink in the garden hose is about to be released.
Correct.
And it will just be flowing until at least January, and hey, hopefully February for a couple teams.
Let's just say mid to late January, and we'll see where that goes.
That would be exceptional for sure, and a pleasant surprise if you listen to the numbers that Vegas throws out for certain
what's
teams.
The over-under? 7.5?
I think it's 7.5.
What would you do if it gave you $100? What would you do? Over-under?
Of Matt's money. It has to be Matt's money, not your money.
I would this year. I will take the under.
Right now, I don't think I can take the over, just because I haven't seen anything from Anthony Richardson or Daniel Jones yet. And Daniel Jones, as much as we say, hey, this guy's has took a team to the playoffs and has had some good history in the NFL, and he got $7-8 million more in the offseason. He had a big contract for a backup quarterback. Like, he was still thrown on the scrap heap last year and relegated to practice squad in Minnesota after everything that happened. So if you don't have good quarterback play, you're not winning in the NFL.
I would like to take the over, but
so I can't do it right
based
now.
on it would be based on blind faith.
Exactly.
And that this team's giving you no reason to have blind faith.
No, not right now. So
let's get through
training camp.
Unfortunate truth over the last few years.
Right.
Yes.
We'll see what happens in camp. And then I'm not making any predictions in camp. Like, let's see what happens after a couple of weeks of the season, for sure, before I could legitimately have any faith in taking the over right now.
Shouldn't we have a feeling mid-September if this season's got a chance?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's reasonable.
And training camp, like you hear, like, this guy's in the best shape of his life. He's running routes better than ever. Oh, look at the great play that A.D. Mitchell. Exactly.
He had a great camp last year.
He did. And we report on that kind of stuff because it's reportable.
Yeah, sure.
But you can't, like, you don't know what's going to happen in the regular season until you get to the regular season. And that's why we do this every week on the Colts Blue Zone podcast.
And that's why people listen, seriously.
We continue to report on things that happen. Will A.D. Mitchell have another great training camp? Very much maybe. I think that he has a very good chance to have another good training camp.
He might be their most talented receiver.
Yep.
I mean, just pure skill.
I saw a stat recently about just like I don't know what the exact stat is called, but it's about getting open. And he was like top 15 in the NFL ranked last year in terms of his ability to get open on routes. And like that usually leads to success. He was ahead of other guys, like Jamar Chase was below him. But Jamar Chase just catches everything, whether he's open or not.
And say he didn't finish the plays, right?
Exactly.
And that's the problem. I'll do something maybe Friday on this, but with Mitchell, and it's not to pile on, it's just the facts. He caught 41.8% of his targets last year.
Mm-hmm.
That is the worst number by a Colt ever with at least 50 targets, ever.
Yeah, that's not good.
And the worst in the league since 2000, whatever it was, 17 or 18. So, and yes, the quarterback play contributed. There was some, but 41% is ridiculous.
We're supposed to talk about A.D. Mitchell later in the show.
Okay,
we got it a little bit early. Okay. Let's put a pin in it for now. We'll get to it. Yeah, that's fine. No worries. But first 3 practices, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, are all free to the public. So get out there. You can find the exact schedule on fox59.com, on Colts.com. Saturday's afternoon practice is $5 for fans who are 18 and older. Kids still get in for free. You also have to pay to park out there.
Parking is $5.
I think parking is $5. Yeah, especially if you prepay.
I think it's 10?
Do there's an option to prepay,
maybe
I think.
And you can tell we don't pay to park.
Exactly. No, we got a parking pass, so sorry, everybody.
But, okay,
you can carpool with us.
But even though
let's say it's 10 and 5, it's a great bargain. I don't want to be a shill for the team, but if you're a fan, casual or full tooth, these 13 days are just outstanding.
We can auction off pay whatever to Kicking the Stigma in order to carpool with Dave and Mike to the to Colts camp out there, so you can get in for free with our parking passes. We'll discuss that.
But it's a great chance to connect with the team. Just is.
Yeah, it is. And as NFL games continue to get less and less easy, I shall say, for a family to go, training camp is just an exceptional.
What's it cost to park downtown on game day? 30.
It varies widely,
but that's the point. So you can drop $400 or $500 without even
easy.
So again, training camp is outstanding.
So it's gotten to the point where $20 to park looks like a bargain.
Right. And you're walking
sometimes.
a while.
Yeah.
And the first preseason game will be August 7th at Baltimore. But let's discuss some storylines. As camp is about to open up, you can read Mike Chappell's story right now online, fox59.com, cbs4indy.com, as you can find all of his work there throughout the entire year. But the top training camp storylines as the Colts get set to gather once again at Grand Park in Westfield. Number 1 is undeniably the quarterback battle. And we've touched on that briefly already with Daniel Jones. But Anthony Richardson will be the one who has the fiercer spotlight on him for sure. Whatever Daniel Jones gives the Colts should be gravy. And hopefully it's something good.
It needs to be gravy.
It needs to be. You're right. But the optimism, the primary if you are optimistic about the Colts moving forward, it's because you are optimistic more so, I think, about Anthony Richardson than anything Daniel Jones could give. And Anthony Richardson has given some reason for optimism. He has been exciting. But as I've said before on this podcast, he's been more exciting than good, and that's something again that I've heard. That was an ESPN article. That's not a Dave Griffiths original, but the excitement has to turn to good eventually. And training camp is the first step toward that. And you need to have a good camp, Mike, if you're Anthony Richardson. This cannot be a start slow, muddle your way through, and get to week 1 training camp.
It's a quick training camp.
It is a quick training camp.
Right.
It goes by fast.
Right.
Sometimes it seems like we're out there for 3 months, but then you blink and it's week 1 and the games count for real. Just depends on how hot it is out there and is how long it feels to us there in Westfield. But there's no doubt, Mike, that all of our eyes will be first on Anthony Richardson, and then right behind him on Daniel Jones for the majority of these weeks up in Westfield.
Well, and we're taking it a step at a time. How ready will Richardson be for the start of camp? Remember, he missed the last 2 weeks of all-season workout because of soreness in his right shoulder, which is his business shoulder. Anytime a quarterback has issues with his throwing shoulder, it's a problem. We've really got no updates, although Richardson told a media outlet down in Florida that he will be ready for camp. I would give the props to the outlet, but I don't remember who it was. And I've been told that he will be ready for camp throwing, which tells me that he's been throwing to some level.
Right.
Now, hopefully it's not Andrew Luck and his Nerf balls, which was just awful. So how ready will he be? Will he throw full bore on Wednesday and then not on Thursday? So how much will, because Shane Steichen said they'll ease him in. Well, but if Richardson's been throwing for 2 weeks, that might be the ease in period. So how ready will he be? But this is people will get tired of this and they'll make fun of us charting 7-on-7, 11-on-11. But this is what we've got. This is all we've got to judge these guys, and it's gonna matter. I think we'll tell from the eye test on who is doing better, I guess. And I hope it's not a day-to-day thing where, boy, today this guy looked great, and the next day this guy, because you need, like you said, you need to be good.
Right.
Well, being good means being consistent.
Yeah.
And we'll see. We've talked ad nauseum why it needs to be Richardson. It just does, for all they've had invested in him. And I want to be optimistic, and I just can't be, because all I've got is 2 years of injuries and 50% completion percentage. So like you talked with Richardson and Jones. Richardson brings a much higher ceiling, and Jones gives you a comfortable floor. And which do you want? I don't know. I want you complete in 3rd and 7.
That would be ideal.
So, and that's what they've not had. So, and we're going to be following this in training camp, preseason games, and then it's going to be the overriding storyline throughout the season.
So it doesn't matter who starts, right? Because
No.
the other guy is going to be right there.
Both these guys are going to play. They just are, because Richardson is like Chris Ballard said. He hasn't proven he can stay on the field. Well, that's true. With 4 or 5 injuries, significant injuries. And let's say Richardson starts the season and he just doesn't play well. Well, then how quickly do you turn to Jones? And once you turn to Jones, how long do you stay with him? So I hope people don't get tired of this, but it's going to be
too late.
It's going to be the driving conversation.
70% of our content, because this is the position that drives the train. And if you, like you said, if you don't have quarterback play, it's just hard to win.
I think one of the most disappointing things about Anthony Richardson so far is the lack of, you mentioned 3rd and 7. And that's such an important down and distance to be able to convert in the NFL. Like, you watch Lamar Jackson in his first couple years, and he could convert that because he would run more often than not. And we haven't seen Richardson escape the pocket and run for a first down as often as I thought we would see. Like,
We-
I'm not saying he's never done it.
I thought we saw more of that after he came back from the benching, and it was kind of like, okay, this is our guy, doggone it. If he gets hurt, he gets hurt.
Right.
And he was doing that, and then he comes up with the what was it, back spasms or disc
Right.
problem or whatever. So again, it's that balance of letting him be the quarterback. You knew this is who you had,
Right.
and you knew the risk involved. And if you're not going to let him get out there and just turn it loose, and let him be smart enough to know not to take a blow up shot against, was it Pittsburgh?
Right.
That's on him.
Exactly.
So let him be who he is, but let him make him be smarter.
Yeah. And like, how do you gain smarts in that scenario? You got to go through it. Like,
And he has.
Exactly. He has by now.
Right.
And so if he keeps taking big hits like that, and you're like, well, that's not completely on you. And it's happened. Like, I bring up the Lamar Jackson point again, Matt, that like he's had injuries in his career. He's missed half the season. I remember, like, we talked about it here when the Colts, before they drafted Anthony Richardson, because Lamar Jackson was perhaps a guy that they could trade for, or they could be able to sign in some way. Like, I was very concerned about Lamar Jackson because he had missed significant time. But the last couple of years, he has not missed that time. He has learned over time.
He doesn't get blown up.
No, he doesn't.
He has managed to. He has learned
Yes.
how to avoid just kind of that killer contact.
And,
Right.
And then you've got Josh Allen, who hasn't learned.
He is not.
He
Yeah.
gets blown
He
up, and,
invites it,
and
right?
then he gets up and he goes back. So, but they've got to have, because Richardson, again, what you talk about the wow factor. Last year he sets the franchise record for rushing yards by a quarterback, and he missed 6 games. So we've seen what he can do. He's got to make plays out of the pocket. He's got to throw the ball. 60-yarders to Alec Pierce are great.
Yes.
And you need those. Shane Steichen thrives on chunk plays, but at the same time, go back to Chris Ballard, make layups. You've got to be able to do both.
Mhm.
You got to be able to pick up that 3rd and 5, that 3rd
Right.
and 7 on occasion,
Whether it's throwing it or running with
or
it.
running.
Yes.
Right.
And I think one thing that training camp doesn't do well is show quarterbacks that can do that. Like,
No.
it is very much more so you throw the ball, you stay in the
Right.
pocket, you go through your progressions.
And when they get outside the pocket, the defense is not going to smack them.
Right.
Not allowed to.
And
really
if
going to touch.
defense can, part of what you're supposed to do if you're Anthony Richardson and 250 pounds is shake someone off. And
Right.
that doesn't happen in camp.
Right.
You don't even get touched. But if someone is close
Right.
enough, then of course you see Zaire Franklin, who's close enough, and then he'll like yell and scream and dance about sacking the quarterback.
Because the fans are going crazy.
Exactly.
Because the guy runs for 50 yards and the
And
defense is
Zaire's
saying,
back here.
I
Like,
had him right here.
right. But
So-
but that's the point of Richardson is not supposed to be tackled
Right.
back there, and maybe he wouldn't have been. And that's what training camp doesn't let you do. But that's number one storyline. Number two storyline is a revamped offensive line, because if your offensive line doesn't protect the quarterback, then everything we just talked about is moot
Right.
for the past 15 minutes or however long we were on the quarterback. And the Colts do have some players on the offensive line who are getting some attention in some recent offseason, top 10 interior, exterior polls from either ESPN or Pro Football Focus, Pro Football Network, whatever. Bernard Ryman has made either the bottom of that top 10 list, or I think he's honorable mention in the exterior, in the tackles. Quentin Nelson is a top 3 offensive interior, top 3, top 4 guy there, it was really weird the way that they were. Like, the interior was like everyone on that interior list of the top 10. Some of them were even unranked by some people's metrics. And I don't know how you don't rank a Quentin Nelson or a Trey Smith in your top 10
Right.
in interior guards. But anyway, that's me going on a 3-second rant about the stupidity of it. But there's some really good players on this Colts offensive line is what I'm
Braden
getting
Smith.
at. Braden Smith, really good player.
When he's playing, he's near Pro Bowl.
Yes.
Right there.
Yes, I completely agree. Bernard Ryman has taken significant strides in his first couple years in the league, and next year he's going to be expensive wherever he ends up. Quentin Nelson, don't need to say anything else. Pro Bowl every year of his career, All-Pro, leader of the culture, Quentin Nelson.
Probably going to be in Canton in, 12, 13 years.
But the issue with the Colts offensive line is it's not the offensive line in general is not a unit of individual success. It is a unit of group success. And if you have 3 great players and 2 less than average players, then you have an offensive line that is average at best. At best. And there are going to be times when people get taken advantage of. See Indianapolis Colts in New England on that fateful day where Frank Reich lost his job afterward. that is going to be the case in some games if people can get exploited. So the question for the Colts offensive line is completely on Tanner Bortolini at center and Matt Gonzalez at right guard. Can those guys live up to expectations, take steps forward in the second years in their career? Can they do their jobs well enough to let the stars on the offensive line also shine and give the quarterbacks and running backs enough time to do what they're supposed to do?
And the brief snapshot we saw last year is encouraging.
Yes, I would agree.
Bortolini started 5 or 6 games with Kelly out, and Gonzalez started, I think it was 3 at left tackle for Ryman and the 5 at right tackle for Smith, and they played well. The difference is now you're the guy, you're the starter, and things just ratchet up a little bit week after week. And again, Chris Ballard and his staff, they prepared to lose Ryan Kelly and Will Fries by drafting last year the way they did. Pro Football Focus has the Colts offensive line ranked 5th in the league.
That is an optimistic take.
I'm not there. I can't be. Somebody else has them like 20th, and that's too low.
Yes. Let's find some middle ground here.
There's got to be a middle ground. And again, we'll be focusing on center right guard. Who's the swing tackle? I don't know. I don't feel great about Blake Freeland. They only played him last year when they had to. I think he played 23 offensive snaps and 22 were in the final game against Jacksonville.
That's why I don't feel great, because the Colts obviously don't feel great.
Right. And then they drafted Jalen Travis.
Yeah.
They even mentioned the word project which is what you anticipate from these young guys. So I like I like most of it. Those 2 spots I'll keep an eye on, and then swing tackle, because doggone it, your players get hurt. It's been whatever year it was, 2019 or whatever, when they started all 16 games, the offensive line. That doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
So your depth is going to play. I think the interior depth is okay. Danny Pinner and those guys.
Yeah. It's what's on the outside, right?
The edge. And if we've seen it. If you don't have a left tackle, you can't play offense, because, like you said, these defensive coordinators, they know where your weak spot is, and they will find it.
If we were to do a most indispensable Colts list, Bernard Ryman would not fall below number 3. Like, not.
I would put non-quarterbacks. He's 1.
Yeah.
And to give James Boyd a plug from the Athletic, he did his, and he had Ryman 1 and Quentin 2. I would have Ryman 1 and Braden Smith 2.
2 edges.
Primarily because there's nothing behind them. So, I think this group's got a lot of potential. But two first-time starters, full-time starters, and depth that you're going to have to develop. Every team has this issue.
Yep, somewhere.
Few teams have 8 offensive linemen that we're set.
No.
It just doesn't happen. But we're talking Colts, and this is one of their issues.
You're watching the Colts Blue Zone Podcast on Fox 59 now. Storyline number 3, as the Colts get set for training camp out in Westfield, is wide receiver development. And we can get into A.D. Mitchell a little bit more now, as we touched on him earlier. And he's really the one that has significant room to develop based on
I hope so.
Exactly, based on potential that you've seen and stats that say that he can get open among the best receivers in the NFL. That's pretty darn good. But I think as our focus might be there on A.D. Mitchell, or our first look, I don't think we can ignore the top guys either. Like Michael Pittman Jr. would say he still wants to develop into a guy who's more of a red zone threat. That's what he wants to do. Alec Pierce wants to be a guy who develops more into an every down, every situation type of threat, and not just
more variety instead of just not being the deep ball.
And Josh Downs is a young dude who has just scratched the surface of his potential.
He's got what's his stat? He's got the most receptions in the first 2 years in franchise history.
Yes, of any Indianapolis Colt
three
ever.
more than some guy named Marv.
Who?
Yeah, I know.
Where did he go to school?
Somewhere out east.
Yeah.
Orange something or other.
But so I think when we talk about wide receivers, I think we need to talk about all of them and to see what they're able to do in camp. I would love to see Alec Pierce catch some more short balls in camp. or at least be given the opportunity to do so. I would love to see Josh Downs get a little bit more like opportunity in camp, but like we'll get to Tyler Warden in a second. He's going to command a few balls himself,
Yes.
like
Yep,
for
it's
sure.
gonna
But
change the
but yeah,
dynamic.
specifically talking about the wide receivers, I think there is room for every one of them to develop further. Is what I'm trying to say.
And the only question I've got is, you're right, and I think the players want to do that. I know Alec Pierce does. He knows he can do more. But when you've got guys that do what they do, then if you have Alec Pierce in the slot taking underneath routes, then that means you're taking that away from Downs. So
Which seems kind of foolish on the surface.
that's what I'm
Right.
saying. And then how does AD Mitchell? You anticipate him being more effective, productive, but when you've got your three main guys are sort of in a hole, a slot on what they are, it's kind of hard to expand Alec Pierce's game. You don't want to take away the deep ball. That's
No, definitely not.
he was the best in the league at it. So it's interesting. It's an interesting question. And again, they by and large stayed. I shouldn't say stayed healthy because Pitt was never healthy, but he
Right.
did miss a lot of games. But again, it's always fun to look at these stats. This group last year, it was only the second time in franchise history that three receivers caught at least 800 yards receiving. The other time was in 04 with Marvin
When
Reggie
everybody caught 1,000
and Brandon
yeah.
Stokely. So it was really, really good. It still lacks, as you've mentioned from the last couple of years, it still lacks that guy.
Right.
It just does. And I hope Michael Pittman doesn't take offense, but he's not that guy. I think at his best, he's a really, really good player.
I think Pittman would be receptive to that, and because he's told us in the past that he wants to be the 1,200 receiving yards,
Right.
7-8 receiving touchdowns, and until he does that, we're going to say
Yeah,
I
fair
don't know
game.
if he's that.
But
I think he would think it's fair
but that
game.
guy that we talk about is 1,700 yards or 2,000 one of these times. There's only so many Jamar Chases and Justin Jeffersons and all these guys, Nico Collins even. So I like this group. I wish they had, a real solid top 10 number one, but you can be a really good offense without that. I think Mitchell, as I mentioned in my story that I posted on Monday, is that wild card. He can really take this group to a next level.
Yeah, and I'll say this just to kind of tap our discussion. I think this you can look on the optimistic side, Matt, as if Daniel Jones gets some reps, which he probably will. That this is probably the best wide receiver group that he's had in his career. In the NFL.
I don't think there's any doubt that like if they do require a lot of Daniel Jones at quarterback this season, like he's going to have a stud running back in the backfield with him. He's going to have a really talented tight end, and he's going to have a really good receiver, a solid receiver group around him. Nothing like he had in any of his other stops or his years in the Giants when they just really didn't have a whole lot. And then you hope if Jones does have to play, that's not necessarily the best thing maybe for the Colts, or maybe it is. We just don't know. But at the same token, it's not a bad supporting cast for Anthony Richardson either. Like it's a good core skill level group that the Colts have this year.
And that's what the first three main storylines have been all about. Like it's been about Anthony Richardson and the quarterback. It's been about, first of all, him.
Right.
Can you protect him? Can you give him good options to throw
Right.
to? And there'll be some more of that coming down the line. But number 4, camp storyline, we got to go to the other side of the ball. And the one glaring issue, or at least topic that comes to the top of it just comes to mind immediately is linebacker depth and who's going to start at linebacker. We have a pretty good idea who's going to start. It's probably going to be Zaire Franklin and Jalen Carlisle, but both those guys are coming off surgeries.
But if you start 3,
who's it going to be? Shegu Ulubi? Is he going to be the one over there?
Probably.
Like you have your idea who these guys are, but that doesn't seem to be the most fear-inducing group of linebackers.
Right.
But like Zaire, Pro Bowler, great
Right.
tackler. I'm not going to take
anything. He was
anything
second team All Pro last
He
year.
was, yes, Syracuse University guy. I'm not going to say a bad word about him too often, unless he really deserves it. Which then I would have to cry and then do. But after that, Jalen Carlisle, like I said, coming off surgery and just into his second year in the
Zaire
NFL
Franklin's
as a
coming off
safety.
surgery,
And
too.
yes, and
Yeah,
like
both of them
neither
are.
of them did
Right.
much, if anything, in the offseason.
I'm not sure they did anything.
No, I don't think so. I think they were on the sidelines or at least in the backfield, watching the entire time.
You anticipate them being ready for practice, but who
shoot.
knows? Maybe they're pup for the first week. You don't know till we get there next week.
And we'll find out then. Exactly.
Right.
But there's no doubt that they are thin at experience in linebacker. And Chris Ballard has said before in different scenarios at the end of seasons that he has regretted not bringing in veteran help to offensive line, defensive line when injuries started to ravage those positions. Linebacker is the glaring position going into this year that could have significant trouble if a player or two gets injured because there's just such a lack of experience from the top to the bottom. Zaire is a pretty experienced guy in the NFL, no doubt. Shegu Alubi has been in from time to time last year. Jalen Carlies got a little bit before he got knocked out. 6 or 7
starts, I think,
with injury.
Carlies.
And not a ton of snaps because he was always the third linebacker behind EJ Speed as well. So, and then after that, it's
Liam Anderson and Cam McGrone,
exactly,
and Joe Bocci, who's really the only guy they added to the roster from the outside.
They've got 65 starts from Zaire Franklin, and 18 by everybody else. And if I've got my numbers right, 8 of the 18 came from, is it Jacob Phillips?
Jordan Phillips.
See, that almost makes my point.
Yeah, exactly. I don't remember.
So again, it's not ideal. And one thing that was kind of obvious when we started talking to Lou Anarumo was, well, we're going to play a lot of times. We'll have 2 linebackers, and we're going to play more sub packages with DBs. Hopefully, that's something that he wants to do and doesn't have to do.
Right. That is a difference.
There's a difference. When coordinators are creative, a lot of times it's because you're covering up weaknesses. I hope he wants to do more of the DBs. And when's the last time the Colts had a secondary that you could dip into with the secondary is pretty good.
That's been a mess.
They still need the
safety.
Group. They need the safety, but it's a deep group. Linebacker, the depth, it gives me pause.
Mm-hmm.
Again, depth isn't the right word. I always caution. Tony Dungy and I always went back and forth. He always said, "Well, we got depth." I said, "No, you got players."
Right.
So you want people that you can trust and
quality depth or experience depth.
And we talk about losing EJ Speed and Grant Stewart. Yeah. I mean, that's a loss. And I'm a little surprised that they didn't bring him back. Maybe he didn't want to come back. But he didn't get a great contract from Detroit, I think it was.
I thought it was Chicago. Was it Detroit? No, I think you might be right. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, now that you mention it.
So that's just a group. And again, of the eight things or whatever that they had to get done this off season, they got 7 of them done. This is the one that they did not get done.
Mm-hmm.
So they just whether they ran out of resources, didn't think there was that right guy. I still thought they should have traded with a Cincy linebacker. His name escapes my muddled head. Not trade, but they signed him when the Bengals
cut him. Right, exactly.
Right. So, but this is, and you're right. How many times has Chris Ballard said, "Man, I just kick myself for not doing this." I hope that's not the case at linebacker.
And it shows you what the Colts think of their linebackers when they don't sign a guy like that who has been in Lou Anarumo's system before. Like they are going all in, infamous words with the Colts, on this group of guys. And so they're saying that they believe in these guys. And so that's what we're going to see is what their belief in those guys winds up with.
Right.
There's only one position, really, where every time you're on the field, points are on the line, and that is kicker. And the Colts will have a new kicker in 2025. Will it be Spencer Schrader or the rookie Maddox Trujillo? We will find out. The big-legged rookie or the young star rising, perhaps, out of Notre Dame, who was perfect the other year in his limited time in the NFL.
He has 5 more kicks than Trujillo has.
Hey, that's it's not that much, but at least he's made those 5, which is encouraging. And none of them were super long kicks.
I think the longest was 41 and 45.
Exactly
against Arizona when he was with the Chiefs.
Played with the Jets and the Chiefs.
But we saw a strong leg in training camp. Remember, he came here as the undrafted rookie.
We did.
Kicked a 54-yarder against the Bengals preseason. So he's got it.
Mm-hmm.
But it was so obvious that they no longer trusted Matt Gay. it's funny. He was 28 for 28 on kicks from 49 in, and 3 of 9 or something like that on 50 plus. And you have to have some level of trust in your kicker when it's that. Do we go for it? Do we kick a 53-yarder? And they didn't. Money was an issue, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
but it was a trust in that they did not trust what they had.
No, it started to affect like how you approach once you
Sure.
get past the 50.
No question.
You know, how aggressive are we going to be? What are we going to do on fourth down? That sort of thing. Because before, early, like the season before that, it was like, okay, well, we get it within this range.
Baltimore,
You know, we'll just kick it, right?
Baltimore,
because Matt Gay's going to hit it.
he sets the NFL record
Right.
with 450-yarders. But it really tailed off severely after that.
This has been a frustrating reality for Colts fans over the past couple of years, is kicker troubles. From the last year of Adam Vinatieri,
2019,
to going to Hot Rod, Rodrigo Blankenship, and that fizzling out in 2021, to the steady stream of guys coming in, Chase McLaughlin,
Michael
Badgley, who both have positions elsewhere.
And have been good kickers elsewhere.
Have been pretty good kickers elsewhere. Yeah, so you say with a pursed lips over there, Matt Adams does. But Spencer Schrader's now the next guy on the list, and they're hoping that stops, for crying out loud. After
and I know people get tired of kickers. They're just
they freaking matter.
They matter. you know, in one score games, and you need it at the end or one into the half. Like you said, they're the only player that's out there that every play he's on the field, points are on the board.
Mm-hmm. So we'll see. Congrats, by the way, due to Spencer Schrader, a married man getting married.
That's a good point.
I posted this to Twitter. I saw the picture of him and his now wife, Corbin Albert, a midfielder for the U.S. women's national team, who I venture to say they probably met at Notre Dame, because she was also, I believe, a Notre Dame soccer player herself. So congrats to Corbin and to Spencer, and let's hope that he has a strong Midwest home for years to come, and maybe Corbin can come in and make some kicks at training camp if she's a U.S. women's national team member. We'll get her out there, get some content that way. I'm sure someone's already thought of that at the Colts complex. But storyline number 6: what will Tyler Warren's impact be? If his impact is anything like what we were able to see, Chap, in this offseason, in our limited view into OTAs and all that, it's going to be significant, because you saw 84 all over the place.
It was like they were forcing the ball to him.
Very much so.
And maybe they were.
And he could make plays with it. Like, he looked like a legit NFL player. Sometimes with rookies, they come in, you're like, does this guy really fit the bill?
Michael Pittman had a bad offseason and rookie training camp.
Mm-hmm. And you could look at him and say, at that time, and he's turned out okay.
Right.
Turned out okay.
Right.
But the guys that come in and immediately look like they fit the bill, it's always more encouraging than not. Exactly.
Right.
So here we have Tyler Warren, a first-round pick, a guy who can take the ball in multiple ways, though it probably won't be as much running the ball as it was in college. It'll probably be a little bit more receiving.
They're teasing us around the goal line. We may see some of that wildcat.
I'll believe that when I see it.
So will I. Because you got a 6'5", 250-pound quarterback, and you got Jonathan Taylor.
Right.
And just don't run Taylor to the right pylon at Denver. So, but no, I think his impact, we should have a pool on when he surpasses last year's total of 39 catches by the group, and it will happen.
Oh yeah, we should. That would be fun.
Yeah.
That would be fun. We'll have to think about that.
So again, I think, and again, they Steichen and Ballard kept talking about challenging, attacking the middle of the field, and I've recorded some things that NFL Network has had on some former Colts games, and you watch Dallas Clark attack the middle of the field. And I'm not, the fact that they both wore 44, Warren did in college, I'm not comparing the two at all. But the impact that receiver, that tight end had, Bill Polian thought he was the missing link with that offense. And I think that this kid is going to have an immense impact.
Bill was not wrong,
No.
it appears, if hindsight tells us anything.
Right.
And I think, Matt, fans that get the chance to go out to Grand Park are going to really, really like Tyler Warren. He's going to be a guy that you enjoy watching out there.
I know that, if I were a fan that we're going out there and watching, that would be definitely the one thing that I wanted to see is what does Tyler Warren look like on the field? I mean, he's their first round pick, and so you've got that. But just because, just what you've heard about this guy from kind of being the do-it-all, whether it's edge blocking and pass catching, occasionally throwing a pass. I don't think they're going to use him here to do that very often or at all, probably, or ever. But just the versatility, the size, the strength, the speed. It's just everything that you would want to have in that Swiss Army knife that can be your tight end. And that would be the one thing I'd want to see.
And if you're a fan, just check for Jack Doyle's number.
Yep.
And you'll see, I remember Jack Doyle.
You'll see a guy who looks a little bit more athletic than Jack Doyle was. No disrespect to Jack.
No disrespect.
No.
Don't disrespect St. Jack.
I would never.
If this guy, if the floor of Tyler Warren is Jack Doyle, the Colts will have a very good player.
We'll take that 10 times out of 10. Jim Irsay's daughter's now in charge. Our final storyline as we wrap up this Colts Blue Zone podcast. There have already been changes over there at Colts headquarters over the past couple months. What changes will we see moving forward with Carly, Kalen, and Casey now taking the mantle as all three co-owners as they were before, but the where the ball stops, the buck stops with them from here on out. Chap, they all have their individual roles that have been clearly defined. And now this becomes the first training camp where they are the ones who are in charge of everything.
I don't think there will be any changes until
not significant, like on the surface.
I don't know what you
see.
Again, internally,
right
they've made some moves. I guess you'd call it management. I don't know what, but football team wise, I don't know what you would do.
Right.
Until you know what you've got.
I should clarify what I said about changes there. I know some different people have been given different titles, like behind the scenes, not with the football team. Like I
and
thank
some
you
are
for
no longer
helping
with the
me
team.
That. Yes, that too.
So again, but I think this season is going to determine will the daughters, and I'll always default to Carly because I think she's going to sort of have the final word if there's a split vote. Whether there are tweaks to the roster and the management and the staff, or do they make significant changes? And the only way we're going to know is by how they perform on the field. And whatever you want to call it, do you believe that this team is heading in the right direction with these people? If not, Carly won't hesitate to make changes.
Mm-hmm.
I think one thing we've talked about here is I think Jim Irsay occasionally made decisions based on emotion, and I don't know that Carly will. I think she's more of a bottom line decision maker. But the only way we're going to know is by how this team plays.
Yep, and we won't know until how they play until the regular season. And it will be an interesting time if things are not as interesting as you would like them to be as a Colts fan.
And again, the schedule is there. If you're playing well, the first 6 or 7 games, you've got to be like 5-2 or whatever. I need to look at the schedule and check the games, but it's there. Now the second half of the season it gets tough, but until you get to Berlin, those games are the 2 tough games are the Rams and the Chargers on the road.
Right.
So if you are what you think you need to be, the first half of the season is there to be more than competitive.
And then you get to some of the tougher quarterbacks that you're going to face later in the season, and the tougher teams, the ones that have a little bit more expectations.
Make hay early, and
exactly.
And it gives you that cushion.
It gives you the confidence, and then you can go into the tail end of the season riding that wave, hopefully with a quarterback, somebody who has a little bit of momentum under him and is good and not exciting, at least exciting sometimes, but good more so.
Bad.
No,
we're not against excitement. We're just.
I love excitement.
Give me some layups.
Exactly.
Layups count too.
Yes, give me some good from here, there, and everywhere. If you want good, you can follow Mike Chappell on Twitter at mchappell51. Also read all his work online, fox59.com, cbs4indy.com. Matt Adams is at Statomatty. I'm Dave Griffiths at DaveG_sports. Do download and subscribe. Get us delivered to your podcast listening device as soon as we drop every week. And if you're watching on YouTube or on our Fox 59 Now app, we certainly appreciate that. We'll see you next week when camp begins on the Colts Blue Zone Podcast.